Metal Up World, this is CJ with CJOrtiz.com and MetzelMotivation.com. This is the first of a new 5-message series I'm doing on reinforcing your life. Now, this is all shown in my Life Domination online coaching program. You can learn more about that at the link below. I'll say more at the end of this video. Reinforcing your life. That's something we've all got to learn. It's something we have all got to practice, reinforcing our life. What does reinforcement mean? It means to strengthen something. When you have an army that is depleted, that has been fighting for a long time, and you bring in reinforcements, when you bring fresh people into the battle, when you bring new resources to a situation, when you strengthen something, when you bring more in order to strengthen a position or a place, that is reinforcement. And that's something we've got to think about in each and every area of our life, because things always need strengthening, don't they? Your relationship, doesn't it always need some kind of strengthening? And isn't the fault that we usually fall into the fact that we don't reinforce the relationship? The opposite would be what? To take things for granted, to take your significant other for granted. And you think, oh no, she's not going to leave me. Oh no, he's not going to leave me. No, they'll always be there. And you just keep tolerating and tolerating and tolerating until one day, guess what? They don't want to tolerate anymore. You don't want to tolerate it anymore. And then you're gone. Whereas instead, you could have always been reinforcing. Financially, you could have always been reinforcing that situation. You could have always been seeking out new ways to earn money. You could have done this in your job, always creating value for yourself, always putting yourself in a better position. You could do this with friendships. You could do this with your relationship with your kids. You could do this with your health, always looking at certain things that you can do to strengthen yourself health-wise, your physical body, your physiology, your digestion, your sleep, your overall well-being. Everything in your life can be reinforced. Now, this is something that, for me, I had to learn early on. And the reason being is because I wasn't ever really a part of the main workforce. I always gravitated towards working for myself. I went to school, my post-high school, my college type thing. I got an associate's degree back in 1990, did that in about 2 years, and then stayed within that particular industry, but primarily working for myself. And my degree was in visual communication, so that covered things like graphic design, illustration, marketing, advertising, that kind of thing. And so that's what I moved into. So if you remember what life was like, if you were around at the time, from 1990 to 1992, that was really the desktop revolution. So that was when desktop computers really begin to take over everything. And so for the first time, you started to hear, for the very first time, people talk about having a home-based business, because now you could do something like that. And this is before really the internet was a part of things. So you could still, work out of home doing things like graphic design and what have you. So there wasn't much competition back. Now everybody knows about Photoshop or graphic design or what have you. But back then, nobody did. It was very, very rare. And so you had these great opportunities to go into business for yourself. So I did that. And as exciting as that is, and maybe as appealing as it sounds, there is another side to it. And the other side to it is that you can never rest on your laurels. I could never rest on my laurels. I could never expect that a client was always going to use me, that somebody else couldn't take them away from me. I had to always be reinforcing my position. So that meant I had to constantly learn new things to stay competitive. But the advantage is that I was able then to break into new areas, whereas I began with simple things like graphic design, doing logos and book covers and brochures and CDs and posters for other people, for clients. I started to then look into other things. So I looked into, for example, marketing, and that led me into copywriting, and that led me into branding and public relations and editorial and book publishing. So I started to expand my experience. I started to expand my knowledge base, and that made me even more and more competitive. The point is that I was always strengthening the ground underneath my feet. I was always reinforcing my position because I knew markets were going to change. I knew clients were going to, leave. I knew things were always going to be in flux. I could never depend on things to be steady, whereas most people were always looking for that big corporate job maybe, or something that would last their whole life. The generation before me, that's how they lived, right? They kind of got that one corporate job and they stayed there till the age of 65 and then they retired. So they didn't have to worry too much about reinforcing their position. They just set their money aside. They had their Social Security, some retirement program, and then they, retired at the age of 65 and lived the life that they want. Well, that's, you're lucky to get that kind of position nowadays. So for someone like me, I had to constantly learn. I had to learn the principle of reinforcing my position, of always bringing in something new. So if you're around me, if you hung around me, you'd always see me talking to people and creating opportunities and making arrangements and networking and making deals. Even when I don't necessarily have the time for something, I just keep kind of bringing it in and bringing it close by because I may be able to find an opportunity to do it, or maybe I can farm it out to someone else. But I'm always wanting to learn, always wanting to engage new people, new opportunities, because I can never rest on my laurels. It's up to me. But that was a great lesson for me to learn. And I had to figure out then how to apply that same principle to other areas of my life, like health, relationships, other things, so that I could always be putting myself into the very best, most secure position. Because that's ultimately what reinforcement is all about. It's about creating life security, right? Financial security, job security, relationship security, health security. Isn't that what you want? To be better secure? Well, yeah, it's nice to be able to depend upon a government job or a big corporate job or something like that for it, but you can't always depend on those things even when you are a part of that. And I think that's what people learned back in the housing crisis of 2007, 2008, that position as senior vice president wasn't a lifetime gig, and a lot of people lost their jobs, lost their pensions. You have to always be reinforcing, always be strengthening the diverse areas of your life. Can you dig that? I hope you can. Well, that's what I'm covering all this week in this new series on reinforcing your life. As I said at the outset, this is from my Life Domination online coaching program, which is something, again, I would love for you to join. It's easy to do, very inexpensive. It all takes place in a private Facebook group, which I administrate. So this gives you and me a chance to work a little more closely together. The only other people in the group are people just like you, motivated people that are changing their lives and achieving their goals. There's no negativity in the group, so you get a lot of encouragement, a lot of friendly people building you up. You're going to meet some new friends in this place. Also, that's in that Facebook group is where I'll show each new video series. So you get 5 each week, 5 videos on one topic, Monday through Friday. You'll also get, though, access to the archive of previous video series. Right now, over 1,000 videos on over 200 different topics. You'll have access to all of that, plus each week's new series, and be a member of this private Facebook group. You get all that for just $19.97 a month. And there's no contracts. You're not subscribing to something that you can't get out of for a year or whatever. You can quit anytime. You can sign up anytime. So I'd love to have you join. If you'd like to learn more and sign up today, I encourage you to do it at the link below, mentalmotivation.com/life domination coaching. This is CJ, the Mental Motivator. And remember, in whatever you do, don't suck. Mental up.